Hello my fellow grade 9 learners. We are now here in the first week or the first quarter or the first module that we have, and that has a topic which is all about the solving quadratic equation. So hope that you enjoy this discussion of mine. As we go through, just feel free to click like, share, and subscribe my video lesson in the YouTube social format. Then feel free to click the bell button for your future notification. Hope you enjoy this one. Okay, so as we go through with this grade 9 learners module, and specifically the module 1, so let us acknowledge those people who helped us here to modify, to enhance, to make this module successful. So we have here our publisher, our regional director, assistant regional director, the writer, the editors, the reviewers, the editor, the reviewers, the illustrator, layout artist, template developer, and the management team on our division. So with them, we are going to thank and grateful that you are so knowledgeable or making this far with this module. So let's begin now. As we go through with this, so let us try to work it out first. What is here in this module? So we are expected that you recognize and classify the quadratic equations, represent the mathematical statement by mathematical sentence, by a mathematical sentence if it illustrates a quadratic equation, write a quadratic equation into standard form, and then identify the values a, b, and c. We're going to solve using the 4 different methods: the extracting square root, factoring, completing the square, using the quadratic formula. And after which is use the quadratic equation and solve the quadratic equation by extracting square roots, factoring, completing the square, and using the quadratic formula in real life situation. So let's find out as we go through. Then as we begin with our discussion, we have now, let us try working this one. Okay, find out how much you already know about this module. Write the letter that you think is the best answer to each question on a separate sheet of paper. Answer all the items. After taking and checking this short test, take note of the items that you are not able to answer correctly, and find out the right answer as you go through in this module. So take note that this part here is just a preliminary part or the pre-test for you to check if how deeper understanding in this lesson. You have a deeper understanding in this lesson. So given problem number 1, we have, if a polynomial equation of a degree 2 that can be written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b, and c are all real numbers and a is not equal to 0. So we have now here the answer: A, linear equation; B, linear inequality; C, linear quadratic equation; D is quadratic inequality. So the answer of this is C. Which of the following is a quadratic equation? A, 3m minus 10 equals 4; B, 2x squared plus 5x minus 6; C is 4w squared minus 12w plus 20 equals 8. And then D is 2y squared minus 9y is less than or equal to 1. So the answer now is C. Next example, next problem is in the quadratic equation. 2b squared plus 11b minus 16 is equal to 0. Which is the quadratic term? The answer is C. What is the standard form of the equation x times the quantity of x minus 3 equals 4x plus 2? A. X squared plus 7x plus 2 equals 0. B is x squared minus 5x minus 4 equals 0. C is x squared plus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Then D is x squared minus 7x minus 2 equals 0. So the answer of this is D. Which of the following equations can be solved easily by extracting square roots? The answer A is x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. B is 2w squared plus 7w minus 3 equals 0. C is 16t squared minus 81 equals 0. D, 3y squared plus 2y minus 8 equals 0. So the answer of this, number 5, is C. What number must be added to both sides of the equation x squared plus 18x is equal to 3 so that the method of the completing the square can be used to solve the roots? A, 36, B, 49, C, 64, D, 81. The answer of this is D. Okay, if you have some doubts, why is it that one would be the answer? So just leave your feedback, your suggestions, or your doubts. As we go through, it will explain little by little. So just take note the given answer, so that as we go through, you'll be knowledgeable now. That is why that is the answer on that given item. Okay, I just post the answer here for you for your enhancement, and you just go over after that as we go through with the next with the discussion given. What are the roots of the equation x squared plus 8x minus 20 equals 0? A, negative 10, 2. B, 10, negative 2. C, negative 4 and 5. D, 4, 5. So the answer of this is A. What are the factors of 2x squared plus 4x is equal to 0? A, quantity x plus 2 times the quantity of x plus 2 equals 0. B is we have 2x squared times the quantity of x minus 2 equals 0. C, we have 2x times the quantity of x plus 2 equals 0. D is 2 times the quantity of x squared minus 4 equals 0. So the answer of this is C. What are the roots of the quadratic equation quantity x plus 3 times the quantity x minus 2 equals 0? A, x is 3 and 2. B, x is negative 3, 2. C is negative 3, negative 2. D is 3 and negative 2. So the answer for this is B. Solve k squared is equal to 10,000. A plus minus k is equal to plus minus 10. B is k equals plus minus 100. C is k equals plus minus 10 square root of 10. D is k is equal to plus minus 100 times square root of 10. So the answer of that is B. Which of the following is the simplified form of quantity of 6x times the quantity of x minus 2 equals 2? A, x squared minus 12x equals 2. B, 3x squared minus 6x equals 0. C, 6x squared minus 12x minus 2 equals 0. D, 3x squared minus 6x minus 2 equals 0. So the answer of this is C. How many real roots does the quadratic equation x squared plus 5x plus 4 equals 0 have? How many real roots does the quadratic equation x squared plus 5x plus 4 equals 0 have? We have here C. A 0, B 1, C 2, D 3. So the answer is 2. One of the roots of x squared plus 3x minus 28 equals 0 is 4. What is the other root? A, negative 6, B 6, C negative 7, D 7. For the 13, the answer is C. Determine the number must be added to make x squared plus 24x plus blank a perfect square trinomial. So we have here letter C as the answer. A 48, B negative 48, B C 144, D negative 144. So the answer is C. What is the resulting quadratic equation in the standard form if A is negative 5, B is 4, C is negative 25? A 5x squared plus 4x plus 25 equals 0. B is negative 5x squared plus 4x minus 25 equals 0. C is 5x squared minus 4x plus 25 equals 0. D 5x squared minus 4x minus 25 equals 0. So the answer for this number 15 is C. There is so many C here. The roots of the quadratic equation 6 and negative 6 and 2, negative 6 and 2. Which of the following quadratic equation has these roots? A x squared plus 4x plus 12 equals 0. B x squared plus 4x minus 12 equals 0. C is x squared plus 6x plus 12 equals 0. D x squared plus 6x minus 12 equals 0. So the answer for this is B. At least there is no C at all. The length of rectangular table is 6 units more than the width. The area is 27 square units. Find the dimensions of the table. 3 and 7, A. B, 4 and 6. C, 3 and 9. D, 4 and 8. So the answer is C. Which of the following quadratic equations has no real roots? 2x squared minus 9x is equal to negative 9. For A. For B is m squared minus 9m minus 36 equals 0. C, 4y squared plus 64 equals 0. D is 2k squared plus 12k plus 16 equals 0. So the answer is C. No real roots. Okay, let's now have for number 19. Number 19 is the length of the wall is 8 meters more than its width. If the area of the wall is 48 meters square, which of the following could be its length? A 3, B 4, C 12, D 13. The answer for this is 12, which is C again. The length of the garden 5 meters longer than its width. The area is 14 meters square. How wide is the garden? A 9, B 7, C 5, D 2. The answer for that is D. That is how we catered with the respect with the given let us study the pre-test that we have. So the next part of our module is let us study. Okay, let us try to begin first the defining term of a quadratic equation. A quadratic equation is one variable that its mathematical sentence of degree 2 that can be written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, provided that a, b, and c are those real numbers and a may not be the same with 0. Because if it is the same with 0, it will turn to be linear equation. So ax squared is what you call quadratic term, bx is what you call linear term, c is what you call the constant term. So that is how we name with respect to the quadratic equation a degree of 2 of the given equation. So let's try now with the example. Example number 1, 2x squared plus 8x minus 5 equals 0. What is a quadratic equation in standard form? Where our a is 2, b is 8, c is negative 5. So this is our a, this is our b, c. A is for the quadratic term, b is for linear term, c is for constant term. So these are the value. Example number 2, 2x times the quantity x minus 4 equals 12. is a quadratic equation. However, it is not written in the standard form. So, therefore, how to write this one into standard form? What is this standard form is all about? This one here. This is the standard form of the quadratic equation. Take note with that. So the first thing that we should do is we have to distribute further. So 2x times, we have here given 2x times the quantity of x minus 4 is equal to 12. So distribute 2x times x, and that is 2x squared. 2x times negative 4, and that is negative 8x equals 12. Then after which, transpose this one to make it the positioning of the standard form that in the right side it should be 0. So here we have here 2x squared minus 8x. As we transpose this 12 here to the left side of the equation, it became positive. From positive it became to negative. So that's 1. So it is divisible by 2. So we have now divide all by 2. We come up now here. 2 over 2 is x squared already. Negative 4 over 2 is 4x. Then minus 6 equals 0. So a now here is 1, b is negative 4, c is negative 6. That's with either with the given. In example number 3, so we have here given quantity 2x plus 3 times the quantity of x minus 2 is equal to negative 4 is also a quadratic equation but not written in the standard form. So there's so many ways in how to write this one in the quadratic, but there's so many quadratic formation, but then it is not written in the standard form. So take note, the standard form automatically is what you call as ax squared plus b squared plus c. Okay, wait. Ax squared plus b squared plus c is equal to 0. That is the given. That is the given of a standard form of the quadratic equation. This one. Okay, so here it goes. So in the given example number 3, since it is not written in the standard form, so we are looking for the standard form of this by using the FOIL method. Using the FOIL method, this one here. So 2x times x, and that is 2x squared. 3 times negative 2x times negative 2, and that is negative 4x. 3x times 3 times x, and that is 3x. Negative 3 times negative 2, and that is negative 6, which is equal to negative 4. So after which is we are going to combine like term. This is negative 4x and the 3x. So we have now 2x squared minus x minus 6 is equal to negative 4. Then after that is we are going to add both sides by 4 to make it additive for the addition property of equality, for the reason that the right side becomes 0. So we have now 2x squared minus x minus 6 plus 4 is equal to negative 4 plus 4. So as we simplify this, we come up with 2x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. So the simplified now is this one, 2x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0, since the numerical here of the quadratic term is not divisible by anything in the other terms in the equation. So that is where we could claim now that this one is our 2. A is 2, b is negative 1, c is negative 2. Okay? Now, so let's begin with a sort of work. When b is not the same with 0 in the quadratic form, in the quadratic equation, so therefore we come up with the quadratic equation that we have is ax squared plus c equals 0. So like for instance, we have here x squared plus 6 equals 0, negative 2x plus 12 equals 0, or 25x squared minus 4 equals 0, because the b value or the linear term that we have is 0. The numerical of the linear term that we have, which is b, is 0. So we come up with ax squared plus c is equal to 0. So by then, we come up with that one as the given quadratic equation in solving it through extracting square root, factoring, completing the square using quadratic formula. So the first thing that we should do is to understand is to how to cater with extracting square roots. So we begin the concept of ax squared plus c equals 0, because the linear term, the numerical of the linear term is b is 0. So now there are three cases. So if k, the constant k here, so given the x squared is equal to k, so another analysis in the quadratic. So like for example, like for instance, we only have x squared in the left side and the k, any constant term in the right side. So we have here x equals k. So if k is positive or k is greater than 0, we come up with the plus minus the square root of k. If k would be a perfect would be 0, so two real solutions or roots given as we go through with the answer. So we have here x is 0. If k is less than 0, so we have no real roots that we are able to answer it. So we have, if it is negative, so x squared is equal to k is what they call the pattern for the extracting square root from this one here, ax squared plus c equals 0, because b is 0. So we have here ax squared equals negative c. So divide both sides by a, so we come up here with x squared is equal to negative c. Since this one is arbitrary constant or any variable, so we name that one as k. So that is why we come up here the k value that we have. For instance, find the solution set of the given x squared minus 25 equals 0. So from here, from the given x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. So what we have now is the left side of the equation must be x squared. So if we're going to transpose the negative 25 to the other side, it became positive 25. Then again, if we're going to get the square, the value of x, so extract the square root, because since the x squared high with a degree of 2, so we are going to extract it to the square root. So that is why we come up with x. Then the other one is plus minus. So since it is positive, so we now have a value of plus minus negative 5. So we have here x, the first x is 5, while the other x is negative 5. So the second x, the first x. Okay, so as we check it, we have here x squared minus 25. When x is 5, so 5 squared minus 25, so square of 5 is 25. 25 minus 25 is 0. So check. X squared minus 25 equals 0. So square of negative 5 minus 25, then square of negative 5 is 25 minus 25, and that is 0. So that is why we could claim now further that the answer is x is equal to negative 5, plus minus 5. Okay, the given problem for number 2 is m squared is equal to 0. So extract both sides by m. So m now, since it is 0, neither positive nor negative the value of 0, so m is 0. Take note with that. Then for the example number 3, we have y squared is plus 64 is equal to 0, so therefore y squared equals negative 64. So exact both sides by square, so y now is square root of negative 64. Since negative, we could now have negative value, so it has no real roots, no real solution or real roots. Therefore, we could claim that no real number when taking the square root gives negative 4, or taking the square root of a certain number that gives negative 64. So hence this is no real roots or no real solution. That's the process. Okay, how about if we have quantity x minus 5 quantity squared minus 81. So here let's begin with this kind of problem. So x minus 5 quantity squared minus 81 equals 0. So after which is we have here transpose, because this is constant, it must be in the right side. So we have now 81 positive, negative 81, it became to positive 81 as we move it here on the right side with the equation. Then extract both sides by the square root. So x plus minus 5 already here, the square root of the square of a number is the number itself. Then here we have plus minus the 9, because the square root of 81 is 9. Then we have plus minus 9. So the first one is, we have x is 5 plus minus 9. Then we have here first x is 5 plus 9, which is 14, and then which is 14, then the other x, the second x, is we have 5 minus 9, and that is negative 4. So as we replace further, if we're going to check further our situation, so since we have now here the 14, the negative 4 is the value of x. So 14 minus 5, we have here 9, square of 9 is 81, minus 81 is 0. The other one is negative 4 minus 5, and that is negative 9. The square of negative 9 is 81, minus 81 is 0. So we could say that the value of the two numbers of the given quadratic equation, which is x minus 5 quantity squared minus 81 equals 0, is 14 and negative 4, has two solutions. Take note, we could have two solutions, more at least or maximum two solutions if the given is in the form of the quadratic or highest degree of 2. How about if we have solving quadratic equation with the use of factoring? So recall your knowledge in factoring in your previous year level, but I'm assumed that you already forgot it one. So let us recap what we have. So now let's start with the first one example. Find the solution of x squared plus 12x is equal to negative 11 with the use of factoring. So since it is not in the standard form, so we have to transpose that one into standard form by, since this is x squared plus 12x is equal to negative 11. So it is not written yet. Okay, so that's it. So we now have using the diamond method. So A is 1, B is 12, C is 11. So we now have ax here, a times c here, then the b. So we now have a, since a is 1 here, cut this one, the little one here. So as we apply it here, so we now have x. Then since the value of our a is 1 and c is 11, so 1 times 11, and that is 11. The b is 12. So it means to say that this is the product of 11. We're looking for the factors of 11 such as its sum must be 12. So 11, the factors of 11 is 1 times 11. So the sum is 12. So therefore, x over 1, the first factor here, then x over 11, the next one. So from that, from x squared plus 12x plus 11 equals 0. So we now have the factor is x plus 1, x plus 1, and then the other one is x plus 11 equals 0. So to solve further, so equating first factor to be 0, then the other factor to be 0. So we now have x is negative 1 and the other x is negative 11. So that's it. So if we're going to check further our equation, so the first value of x is negative 11. So from the given, x squared plus 12x is equal to negative 11. So we have square of negative 11, and that is 121. 12 times negative 11 is negative 132. Is it the same with negative 11? So 121 minus 132 is negative 11. So we could it is checked. While since the value of the other x is negative 1, so square of negative 1, then 12 times negative 1 equals negative 11. So we have square of 1, negative 1 is 1, then 12 times negative 1 is negative 12. Is equal to negative 11. So 1 minus 12 is negative 11 equals negative 11. So we could now claim that x squared plus 12x is equal to negative 11 has two solutions with the solutions of a negative 11 or negative 1. Another one is we have 16x squared minus 9 equals 0. Recalling that we have here another factoring part, which is a squared minus b squared. The factor of that is a plus b times a minus b. So therefore, we could now claim that this one here, 16x squared, is a perfect square of 4x, while 9 is a perfect square of 3. So a squared is a perfect square of a, b squared is a perfect square of b. So that's why we have a plus b and a minus b. So here we could say that this one now is 4x plus 3 and the other one is 4x minus 3 equals 0. So after which, so we have now equating first x to be 0, the first factor to be 0, and the other factor to be 0. So we have here transpose the constant term, so this is negative 3 plus 3. If we're going to transpose, it became negative 3. Then divide both sides by 4. So we now have x is equal to negative 3 over 4 as the answer. Meanwhile, here is 4x is equal to 3. Then divide both sides by 4. We could now have x is equal to 3 over 4. So that is how they catered with the result. So we have here negative 3/4, 3/4. So if we're going to check further, since the first x is negative 3/4, so square of negative 3/4, and that is 9/16. Then cancel, square, replacing the x to becomes negative 3/4. So square of negative 3/4 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. So that is why it became 9/16. So we have now 6 to cancel. Then 9 here minus 9. So 9 minus 9 is 0. Check. Another x, replacing x to become 3/4. So we have here 3/4 quantity squared times 16. So square of 3 is 9. Square of 4 is 16. So cancel. So we have now 9 minus 9, that is 0. So we could claim now that the value of x in 16x squared minus 9 was 0 is 3/4 and negative 3/4 with the two solutions that we are going to cater with. Okay, in the given example number 3, we have here given 3y squared plus 24y equals 0. So from here, so we have here value of 3 and 24. So we have 3, 24. Collect first the numerical coefficient of both factors. So there is a common divisor which is divisible by 3. So 3 divided by 3, which is 1. 24 divided by 3, and that is 8. So that is why 8. So 3 is the value that we are going to remove from the given. So then for the variable, or for the literal coefficient, which is y, so y squared and y, so their the exponent having a lower value is y. So that is why we have to remove the y here. Then what is left there is we're going to divide 3y squared by 3y. We get the 3y because of here. So we now have y. Cancel, we have y. Then the other one is 24y over 3y. Cancel, so we have here plus 8 equals 0. So equating both, 3y equals 0, then y plus 8 equals 0. So we now have divide both sides by 3. So y is 0, then y is negative 8, because we're going to transpose the 8 here to the other side. Okay, so let's check. So we could now claim that the two values of we could say now that the two values of y is 0 and negative 8, provided that if we're going to check it, it is already correct. So from the given equation, 3y squared plus 24y equals 0, replacing the value of y to be 0. So 3 is a square of 0 plus 24 times 0. So square of 0 is 0 times 3 is 0. 25 times 0 is 0. So 0 plus 0 is 0. That's it. Then the other one is replacing the value of y to become negative 8. So we have here 3 times the square of negative 8. Then 24 times negative 8, replacing the value of y here. Then the square of negative 8 is 64. So 3 times 64 is 192. 24 times negative 8, and that is negative 192. So 192 minus 192 is 0. So we could now finally say that the value now of the value of y in the given equation, 3y squared plus 24y equals 0, having two solutions, is y equals 0 and y equals negative 8. Okay, the letter C given is how do we cater with solving quadratic equation by completing the square. So the first process that we are going to work on here is that, okay, we now have 2x squared plus 8x minus 24 equals 0. So as we check it here, this is divisible by 2, both sides of the equation. So 2 divided by 2, so x squared. 8 divided by 2 plus 4x. Negative 24 divided by 2 minus 12 equals 0. That's why. That's it. So after which, all the constant here must be transposed on the other side. So we have here x squared plus 4x is equal to 12. Since what we test, our test here is we're working for the completing the square. So what we have now is we are going to identify the perfect square trinomial of these two terms. How these two terms here on the left side of the equation make that one as a perfect square trinomial. Okay, let us recall our recall ourselves. Okay, let's say x plus 3 quantity squared. We now have the square of the first term, which is x squared. Multiply the x and the 3, we have here 3x. X times 3 is 3x times 2 times 2, we now have 6x. So we have here 6x. Then the square of the second term is 9. Okay, like how do we able to have it here when like okay, let's say x plus 5 equals 0. So we now have square of the first, so x times x is x squared. Multiply this one, so 5x times 2, we have here 10x. So we have now 10x here. Then the square of that is 25. Okay, so what would be the certain things that we're going to identify? Like for instance, if we have 12x, what would be the last term if given by x squared plus 12x to make it a perfect square trinomial? So the things that we're going to understand here is we're going to divide 12 by 2 all the time in here. So we have 12 divided by 2, and that is 6. Then after that, the result there is 6. Then the square of 6 is 36. So that is why here is 36. So if we're going to, if we want to know is it really correct, so let us try. Let's have working out here. 6 divided by 2, and that is 3. Square of 3, and that is 9. So that is why we have here 9. Okay. Then we have here 10 divided by 2, and that is 5. 5 square is 25. So that is why 25. To make it a perfect square trinomial. So here, in this case, as we apply this one, x squared plus 4x, then 4 divided by 2, we have 2. Square of 2, we have 4. So that is why we are going to add here 4. The other one is still add by 4 because since it is addition equation, so whatever to be added in the left side is still the same what we have what we added on the right side. So we have here x squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 12 plus 4. Next one is this one is a perfect square of x. This one is a perfect square of 2. Then with the plus sign here, so that is why the factor of that is x plus 2. Quantity squared is equal to 16. Then square both sides. Take the square of both sides. So we now have x plus 2. The other one is plus minus. Square root of 16 is 4. Then transpose the positive to the other side became negative 2 plus minus 4. So the first x is negative 2 plus 4, which is 2. The second x is equal to negative 2 minus 4, and that is negative 6. Okay, so that is how we cater with our answer. That's 1. So we now have 2. We now have 2 here and negative 6. We now have 2 here and negative 6. Okay, as the result that we have. So if we're going to check further, so we now have replacing the x value to be 2. So from 2x squared plus 8x minus 24 equals 0. So 2 times the square of 2 plus 8 times 2 minus 24. So we have your square of 2 here. We have your square of 2. We have your square of 2. So 4. 2 times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. Then 8 times 2 here is 16 minus 24. So 8 plus 16 is 24 minus 24 is 0. Replacing the x becomes negative 6. We have here 2 times the square of negative 6, then 8 times negative 6 minus 24 equals 0. So square of negative 6 is 36. Times 2 is 72. Then minus 48 minus 24 is negative 72 because they have the same sign. So 72 minus 72 and that is 0. So we could not say that we have the two solutions with a certain results of 2 and negative 6 in the given equation. 2x squared plus 8x minus 24 equals 0. Another one is x squared plus 6x minus 40 equals 0. Let's proceed to example number 2 that's stated as the given. We have solve the quadratic equation x squared plus 6x minus 40 equals 0 by completing the square. So as you can see in our given, we have here x squared plus 6x minus 40 equals 0. So this is 40 equals 0. So it is our constant term in our quadratic term is 1. So we could not divide it anymore. So as we go through with this kind of example, we are just only applying the how to make it complete in the square. If it is more than 1, the numerical coefficient of our quadratic term here, take note that we're going to divide it both sides of the equation. But here we don't have any more thing to do. So instead we're looking for the we have to work it how to make it completing the square. By first is we're going to transpose this negative 40 to other side. So if we're going to transpose or transfer that one to other side of the equation, which is the right side of the equation, from negative 40 it became positive 40. So now the next thing that we should do here, this one here, this x squared plus 6x, we have to see to it that it makes us perfect square trinomial. As I said last time in the previous example, we are looking for the middle term. Divide the middle term by 2. So 6 divided by 2, we have here 3. Square of 3, the quotient, is equivalent to 9. So therefore, to make it a perfect square, the respective x squared plus 6x, we're going to add both sides of the equation, the left side by 9, and for the other side, which is the right side, by 9. So where can we get the 9 here? Because of the process of what we have done previously. 6 divided by 2, which is 3. The quotient is taking the square of the quotient, and that is 9. So that is why we add both sides of the equation by 9. So this x squared plus 6x plus 3 plus 9 now will be the perfect square of x plus 3. So the factor of that is x plus 3. quantity squared, and then we are going to add 40 plus 9, so we come up with 49 as the result. So the next thing that we should do here is we're going to have to extract square root both sides of the equation. So this is the process here. It is detailed, explained it here, but in this side here I will just able to compress what I have explained it here. Okay, so we now have x plus 3 is equal to plus minus 7, because the square root of 7, the square root of 49 is 7. So we now have two set of values of the square root of 49, the positive value and the negative value. So we now have here x is equal to negative 3, because we are going to transpose the positive 3 to other side to have the value of x, to solve for the value of x. Then we have negative 3 plus minus 7. So the first value of x now here is we have negative 3 plus 7, and that is 4. The other one is x plus 2 here. I just write it here. Negative 3 minus 7 is equal to negative 10. So that is how the answer takes place. So as we go over it, so this is now the answer, 4 and the negative 10. So as we able to replace, as we able to check everything if it's really correct before we just go with the conclusion. So we are going to replace the x becomes 4 and x becomes negative 10 from the original equation that we have. So x squared plus 6x minus 40 equals 0. So replacing the 4 for x, so 4 squared, since we have here 6x, so 6 times 4 minus 40 equals 0. So 4 squared is 16, 6 times 4 is 24 minus 40. 16 plus 24 is 40 minus 40, and that is 0. So check. Again, in this part here, we're going to replace that we have the x by negative 10. So from x squared plus 6x minus 40, we have now square of negative 10, or negative 10 quantity squared, plus 6 times negative 10 minus 40. So square of negative 10 is 100. 6 times negative 10 is negative 60 minus 40. So 100 minus 60. Okay, negative 60 minus 40, we have here negative 100 because they are a like term. So it was added here, then copy the 100. So 100 minus 100, and that is 0. So since both x equals 4 and negative 10 is really correct, so we could now say that the given x squared plus 6x minus 40 equals 0 has two solutions with the rules, or with the solutions of x equals 40 and x equals negative 10. Okay, let's now proceed to example number 3. For example number 3, solve the equation of x squared. So we're going to solve the equation x squared minus 12x minus 4 equals 0. So then again, the quadratic term, the numerical of the quadratic term is 1. So we could not apply to the how to divide further. Okay, so let's proceed now. 12x squared minus 12x is equal to 4, because transpose the negative 4 the other side of the equation to the right side, so it became positive 4. So what is left here is x squared minus 12x. Then the next thing that we should do is that we're looking for the perfect square trinomial value of the value that we have to be added both sides of the equation. So meaning we have to work it out. So negative 12 divided by 2, and that is negative 6. So negative 1 square of negative 6, and that is 36. So add both sides. So copy, I just copy x squared minus 12x. Then I will be able to add 36 here, because as we provided here from the solution there, we come up with 36. So we have add 36 on the left side and on the other side of the equation. So this one now is a perfect square trinomial with a factor of x minus the 6 here, coming from dividing by 2. It's the easy way for us to do it. Okay, 4 plus 36 is equal to 40. So we have now quantity x minus 6 quantity squared is equal to 40. And extract both sides. Extract but through square root. Take the square root both sides, rather in short. So we now have x minus 6 is equal to plus minus square root of 40. Then, since this square root of 40 is still simplified by merely looking for one of the factors of 40 should be perfect square. So one of the factors of 40 that should be perfect square is, if we have 2 times 20, we could now 2 is not a perfect square, same as with 20. Another one is 40. We have 4 times 10. 4 is a perfect square while 10 is not, so it could be that one would be able to work it out. So we have here plus minus 4 times 10. Then the next thing that we should do is negative 6 that we have will be transposed. So 6 plus minus, then after which if we have square root here, so take the square root both sides. So what we have it here is just square root of 4 times square root of 4 times 10. So the square root of 4, by the way, is 2, and the square root of 10, since it is not a perfect square, so we cannot remove the radical sign, so just copy the radical sign. So we have that square root of 10. So we can now say that the first value of x is 6 plus 2 square root of 10, while the second value of x is 6 minus 2 square root of 10. Okay, we have that. Okay, again, the first value of x is, we have now 6 plus 2 square root of 10. We have to break the positive and the negative. And the second value of x is 6 minus 2 square root of 10. So we have that. So we now have, as we able to check it here, so we have that. So we have replaced the value of x to become 6 plus 2 square root of 10. So we now have from the equation, from the problem that we have, from the given problem, we have x squared minus 12x minus 4 equals 0. So replacing the value of x to be 6 plus 2 square root of 10. So 6 plus 2 square root of 10 quantity squared minus 12 times 6 plus 2 square root of 10 minus 4. From that, okay, we're going to multiply the 6 plus 2 square root of 10. So 6 plus 2 square root of 10 times 6 plus 2 square root of 10. I will make use of the FOIL. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 2 square root of 10, and that is 12 square root of 10. 2 times square root of 10, 2 square root of 10 times 6, and that is 12 square root of 10, and then 2 square root of 10 times 2 square root of 10, that is 4 square root of 100. This is 100. Okay, so if we're going to combine further, this is 12. We're going to work it out. So we come up with 36 plus 24 square root of 10 plus 4 times 100 times 10, because take note that the square root of 100 is 10. So we now have 36 plus 40, 4 times 10 is 40, plus 24 square root of 10. So we now have 76 plus 24 square root of 10. As we multiply 6 plus 2 square root of 10 by itself, we have here 6 times plus 2 square root of 10 times 6 plus 2 square root of 10. Because of we have here the square. Okay, we also have distributing this one, negative 12 times 6, and that is negative 72. Negative 12 times 2 square root of 10, and that is negative 24 square root of 10. So in this process, the 36 and 40 was not yet added, so it means to say that one is still the same with 76. So we have the 76 now. Then we have 24 square root of 10, so we now have this one and this one, make it 0 because the positive, we are going to combine the two. 24 square root of 10 added to negative 24 square root of 10, and that is 0. So we have now 36 plus 40, and that is 76 minus 72, and that is 4 minus 4 is 0. So 76 minus 76, and that is 0. So check. We have checked the given. Then we also have 6 minus 2 square root of 10, replacing the value of x by 6 minus 2 square root of 10. So we have now 6 minus 2 square root of 10, quantity squared, minus 12 times 6 minus 2 square root of 10 minus 4. So we now have 6 minus 2 square root of 10, 6 minus 2 square root of 10. So 6 times 6, and that is 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times negative 2 square root of 10, that is negative 12 square root of 10. The negative 2, this one, negative 2 square root of 10 times 6, and that is negative 12 square root of 10. Then we have negative 2 added to negative 2 times negative 2 square root of 10 times negative 2 square root of 10, and that is positive 4 square root of 100. So we now have 36 minus 24 square root of 10. This one is, since the square root of 10 is 10, so we now have 4 times 10, and then 4 times 10 is 40. So we now have here plus 40. So as you can see, we have here 36 minus 24 square root of 10 plus 40. Minus distribute, we are going to distribute the negative 12 to the inner part, the parenthesis part here. So we have here negative 72. Negative 12 times negative 2 square root of 10, that is positive 24 square root of 10 minus 4. So we now have this one, since they are unlike term, not unlike term rather, but they are similar but it's in the opposite, so this one is 0. 36 plus 40 is 76, so that's it. Negative 72 minus 4 is 76, so 76 minus 76, and that is 0. So It means to say that from the given equation, x squared minus 12x minus 4 equals 0 has two irrational roots or two solutions. Why it is irrational? Two given answers that we have, because of our concern here, because of the radical sign, not simplified radical valued number. Okay, so that is why irrational. So we now have this as the value. X is equal to 6 plus 2 square root of 10. The other one value of x is 6 minus 2 square root of 10. Okay.